16th Annual International Art Society Academic Conference out in Australia. And everybody perceiving this content wherever you at. Hopefully next time, I'll be there in person with some, more research. My name is Yaradin Carrington, and I'm a Flatbush native from Brooklyn, New York. Thank you in advance for viewing my poster presentation. This is Semiotics of Graffiti. Hope you enjoy. Graffiti is an Italian word meaning scribbles on a public wall in its plural form, but pronounced graffiti when used singularly. The word graffiti was rooted from the Greek term griffin, which is intended to communicate, write, draw, or scratch something for perception. Pueblo de las Minos, located in Santa Cruz, Argentina, has the first fascinating ancient graffiti paintings dating from 13,000 to 9,000 BCE. This is basically when mankind was of the Oriental culture. We use paint or ink and place it on our palms and place it our palms to make a print on the walls as some sort of self-identification. However, prominent graffiti was found in the Pompeii ruins in Italy in 1851. It is the remains of the city of Pompeii after the Mount Vesuvius volcano eruption in 79 CE. This is basically when people of the city of Pompeii fled for safety because the volcano was erupting. As the ashes or the lava covered the city and turned to ashes, people went back to the city, which turned into ruins, to return to their homes. They used graffiti and to draw symbols and anthropomorphic figures on walls as a means of survival. However, the French Revolutionary Wars, rebels and soldiers wrote graffiti on houses and buildings to be noticed by survivors in the 18th and 19th centuries war wars against the Nazis. This is basically the first form of propaganda through graffiti. Modern day graffiti made its way into a YDC development in Philadelphia through a 12-year-old troublemaker named Darryl Cornbread McCrae. He earned the nickname Cornbread from his annoying requests to the YDC cooks that he basically got from his grandmother. He loved cornbread. He wanted cornbread. So they made him cornbread to make him feel at home. He earned the nickname Cornbread. He began writing his name all over the YDC. They thought he had some type of mental disorder. The people, the staff at the YDC, and basically realized he just wanted to be popular. First sighting of graffiti. As he grew older and more established and became more into graffiti, he began writing his name all around the city of Philadelphia. And the parallel sequence, graffiti crews in New York City were writing graffiti, but one boy kid stuck out in 1968. That was Tacky 183. He was a bike messenger of the Upper East Side. He had a territory of a 40 block radius where he basically wanted his name to be all over the place. I mean, Tacky was his Greek alternative to his real name, Demetrius. The number 183 came from his address on 183rd Street in Washington Heights. And he eventually ended up going through the same thing, evaluation, because people thought something was wrong with him at that time. And he got a newspaper interview. He became famous. So other graffiti artists realized that, you might be able to become famous from doing this art form. So people wanted to, become famous, do interviews, and, receive some type of street credibility, which led to the art form graffiti becoming very, very popular. As it became popular and unique, museums and art exhibits were putting art, these arts in their galleries and selling it. And at that time, the mayor, John Lindsay, stepped in like, people are destroying private property, and then you got people stealing private property. He deemed graffiti vandalism and declared war on graffiti in 1972. Graffiti continued to emerge, and I believe in 1980, The hip hop culture used graffiti along with the urban art forms of rap music and breakdancing as a combination to reach commercial success, where each art form will bite from each other and borrow styles and swags to become successful. Are you following me? All right. A Caucasian officer named Derek Sharon kneeled on an African American man's neck a year ago on Memorial Day in the U.S. of 2020 during phase one of our quarantine for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while other three other officers stood by and were bystanders. And it was recorded. The video went viral during the weekend, and as the work week started, and people understood what was being shown and what happened, it sparked outrage. On Saturday, May 30th, 2020, the third day of protest following George Floyd Jr.'s death, I was sitting on my porch having a drink with my friend. However, he left, and I decided to go take a nap. You know, as I went up, came upstairs, I I started hearing a helicopter. I went to sleep. I couldn't believe how I slept through it, but I eventually woke up hearing a helicopter. I was so tired, I went back to sleep. I eventually woke up. I seen a windshield. I went outside, seen a windshield in front of my steps. Um, there was debris everywhere. It was like an aftermath of a parade. Police in riot gear, and these photos that I'm illustrating are from basically on my block. What happened outside? I'm referring to. From the plain eye view, acronyms of FTP, ACAB, and BLM were continuously graffiti throughout Flatbush and the entire Brooklyn. This situation led to the proposed research questions: what is the primary use and purpose of graffiti, along with the occurred changes preceding George Floyd Jr.'s death? Research question two: what are the underlying meanings of FTP, ACAB, and BLM and the messages they convey? I apply the rhetorical vision of the ideological criticism to analyze graffiti. This rhetorical criticism is structured through the semiotics theory along with the methodologies of semiotics, syntax, and pigment. Semiotics in graffiti is a method of writing that enables an author to use signs, symbols, figures, and interpretation of the native language to prescribe to viewers. Now, this example, it's an emblem, it's a sign, it's a creature, it's something. It's that artist's symbol. That's semantics. Syntax are the principles associated with governing graffiti in one's traditional language, style of penmanship, and slang used as a reference to translate the message of a wordsmith communicating to the receivers. Now, to the far right is this example. You see the big C. That's semantics. Message RIP, Scooter, Zach, who, always love. That's syntax. That's syntax. Various styles, colors, and designs, textures, and coatings used by scribbler on the pigment within graffiti. Now, this example, I see white, I see blue, I see purple, I see orange, gold, black. The lines, just different thicknesses and different widths came together. It looks cool to me. That's pigment. Now, if you getting what I'm saying, I just brought to you the three methodologies that make this art form of graffiti so popular and unique through the semiotics theory, which are semantics, syntax, and pigment. All right, follow me. Watts proclaimed the use of fuck to mean to strike. Therefore, FTP is a derogatory phrase meaning fuck the police, which is a statement invoking damage to law enforcement officials. To announce, write, or insinuate FTP signifies to strike the police, especially in an environment of protest. Now, there's no real origin behind this, this acronym. It's just, I guess, it seems like it's a common phrase that people say towards the police department or police forces. ACAB is a political slogan regarding the police system in general. It encourages the end of police brutality and refers to the government policing their use of misconduct in the police force. The abbreviations of ACAB is an acronym meaning all coppers are bastards, where the B initial is originally abbreviated for the word bastards. It is bastard because all cops are not individually bad, but are bastards entirely. To be a bastard, one must be in a system that is corrupt. The law enforcement system in the United States is designed to devalue and encourage violence upon people of color lawfully. This police system is bastardized because it does not serve its original purpose, function, and lowered in quality. Now, ACAB, its origins come from the original police force in Britain, which was created by Robert Peels in 1829. Now, they nicknamed Robert Peels Bobby and his police force in London Bobbies. At that time, the acronym ACAB emerged as a slogan and acronym opposing the Bobbies. However, as time progressed, the first police force in the United States emerged in 1838 in Boston. Their position was to man the Boston ports and secure imports that was coming into the country. At that time, we had night watches and day watches throughout the U.S. It was a volunteer system of through like selective service. Either you would do night watch or you would join the military. So as the police department of Boston evolved evolved down south and was used to protect people, Caucasian people, from people of color and assist in returning escaped slaves to their rightful owner. BLM, Black Lives Matter, is a social movement established in 2013 following the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer, George Zimmerman. It also became popular following Ben Carson's presidential campaign. It was used as a household phrase that individuals around the world use in reference to the oppression of black folks. This slogan is used in time of need to support those of racial situations and protests. Now, BLM was established in 2013 after the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer, George Zimmerman. All right. Subsequent to George Floyd's death and mainstream media, ACAB has been used in hashtags on social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Youth protests in Minneapolis, Memphis, Tennessee, Los Angeles, and New York City have occurred. I just show you the pictures. You seen what happened out here in Flatbush. It went down. Black Lives Matter organized and designed murals to be placed in the streets of various locations in New York City as well as around the country. Murals near 40 Square, Trump Towers, the White House, 125th Street in Harlem, and Fulton Street in Bedford-Stuyvesant, along with streets in Cincinnati, Ohio, Jackson, Michigan, and Portland, Oregon, emerged as volunteers from local organizations assist. And, I hope you gain something from this, this content, my posted presentation. I basically explained the first fascinating, graffiti sightings from when we were mankind were orality cultures, when we was illiterate human beings, until we evolved to modern graffiti. Um, I applied graffiti within the semiotics theory and gave you the three methodologies that makes this art form very unique through semantic, syntax, and pigment. I gave you the history behind FTP, ACAB, and BLM. I hope you enjoy. My contact is within my poster presentation. I know it was a lot. I tried. I try to get it. There's only so much you could do with the poster. So hope you enjoyed the rest of this conference. And if you have any inquiries, please reach out to me. And my name is Rodden Carrington, and this is Semiotics Graffiti, another installment of Lifestyle Trends, which is a dissertation in progress. Be safe. Peace.